For most people, money and time are very valuable commodities. You don't want to waste money on something stupid or on something that you're going to regret that you bought. You don't want to waste your time on something that isn't going to be productive, or you're not going to enjoy doing, something that you're going to remember, whatever. And going to the movies or just spending the time to watch a movie in general is definitely one of these things. Now, we hope that based on trailers we watch, TV spots that we watch, that a movie we really want to see is going to be great. Sometimes we just want it to be good. Or maybe we're actually looking forward to an idea of a movie being so bad we're enjoying it. Who knows? Whatever floats your boat. But at the very least, we want whatever we think a movie is promising us. Whether that's a hard action movie, a romance, a lot of comedy, whatever. And when we go to a film or when we watch a movie, if we don't get that, sometimes we're surprised. Sometimes it turns out better than we hoped. But other times, yeah, we're left disappointed and wondering, why did I waste my time watching that film? I could have been cleaning my house. I could have been making another YouTube video. I could have been doing anything. I could have been spending time with family and friends. I could have been outside. But instead, I decided to take the time and watch this movie. Sit down, watch it in the dark with a bunch of people I don't know. Unless, of course, you have somebody with you. Well, in 2022, there were some movies like that. Now, thankfully, I managed, I think, to avoid most of the films like that. The other big thing here is going to be all the films on my list had a theatrical run. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean I saw them in the theater, but we're going on the assumption that these were movies you could have gone to see in the theater, and would I have been happy spending money to see it, or was I happy that I wasted my time here in my house to watch it? Now, I have a hard time saying that these movies are, quote unquote, the worst. Yes, my top 5 films, I can definitely say they are probably just bad movies overall. But the other ones, they have something, there's something I like in pretty much all of them. But for the most part, they're films that I'm like, okay, I saw it. I wouldn't have missed anything if I didn't watch it. I'm not thrilled that I spent my time watching it, but I don't mind that I did. You know, it's a one and done type of film. So for me, this worst of list is kind of a combination of worst of and just movies I wasn't impressed or I could care less about. But just to make it easy, this is the worst films of 2022. Now, before I get started, I did want to say a lot of these films will have a full review up on the channel, or they might have a short review. So if you want to go see what I thought of the movie in a little bit more detail or right out of the theater type thing, go check those out. But we start with some dishonorable mentions. First one for me is Bullet Train. Now, I know a lot of people like this movie. A lot of people thought it was good. They loved the action. They thought it was creative. And I get that. And I agree. The action was good. The ideas were good. But I felt like there were just too many characters, for one thing, for me. And then there were other ideas where I'm like, I don't exactly know what's going on. I felt like they took forever to give us more answers to the puzzle. And I'm not one to usually say stuff like, that can't happen, or that would never happen in real life, because I can suspend my disbelief. But this movie had moments, especially at the end, where I was just like, I'm finding it really, really hard to suspend my disbelief here. So, glad I saw it, but I don't really need to watch it again. Next up is Ticket to Paradise. This had Julia Roberts and George Clooney in the leads. It's a type of story we've heard before. You know, daughter getting married, parents don't get along, they try to break the wedding up, try to make it so that it never happens, you know. Or we've seen iterations of it. Well, I went to see this with my wife, and I will say, at times it was funny, but there were a lot of humorous moments that we saw in the trailers. And I will say the story was better than I was expecting, but it took about halfway through the movie till I actually got into it, till I actually was able to say, okay, I can get behind this. This movie isn't bad. I'm not totally bored by it. So that's why Ticket to Paradise is one of my dishonorable mentions. And finally, Marry Me. Now, I did not see this one in theaters. I did see this on streaming. I believe it was Paramount Plus, I believe, or Peacock. I can't remember which. And this movie was entertaining. I will definitely say had a lot of comedic moments. The story overall was good, was well told. I found myself more entertained by it than I thought I would. But it was a romantic comedy. And this type of movie really isn't for me. I mean, for what it was, like I said, I enjoyed it. But it's not one that I'm going to rush out or flip through whatever streaming service it is to try and find again. I saw it once, had a good time, I'm done. So, to recap real quick, dishonorable mentions: Bullet Train, Ticket to Paradise, and Marry Me. Coming in at number 10, we have See How They Run. Now, I was actually looking forward to this movie to as much as I look forward to comedies. I will say comedies are not the type of movie that I look really, really forward to and want to go see in the theaters. I'm perfectly happy watching them here at the house. But I thought, you know what? This looks like it'll have some action. I like a good whodunit. This looks like it'll be a little bit of a twist, a little more humor than most whodunits. So, yeah, I'll go see this. Well, it was definitely unique at times. There were definitely humorous moments. I did like some of the things they did, but a lot of the story was predictable. And I know whodunits sometimes are with certain ways they go, but you're not supposed to be able to tell, okay, well, that's going to be important, that's going to be important, or are they going to do this type of thing? And for me, I was going in and I expected this thing to be hilarious. I mean, at the time I wasn't thinking it, but I think I almost kind of wanted a parody. You know, a more, not a hardcore parody, but a lighthearted parody of a whodunit. And it definitely has elements of that, but they're not overwhelming. And I found myself just being like, okay, cool. I didn't check my watch. And for most of these films, I didn't check my watch to see, are we done yet? For me, that's a good thing. But this was a movie I'm like, you know, okay, I'm glad I saw it. It was entertaining somewhat. Don't feel like I totally wasted my time because it was less than 2 hours. And I went with my wife, and I just like going to the movies with my wife in general. But yeah, so this movie was okay, but I don't really care if I see it again. If it's on, maybe I'll pop it on. But I'm in no rush to go see this movie or rent it again. And that's why See How They Run comes in at number 10. Coming in at number 9, we have a film that I think a lot of people will probably disagree with me on. I haven't seen it on people's best lists, but I haven't seen it on people's worst. And for me, I've just not really been able to get invested in this director. So many people have loved at least one of his recent movies, but I just could never get behind them. They weren't really for me. And this one was no different. And that's Jordan Peele's Nope. Now, I liked the idea. I liked the idea of an alien film because I do like alien movies and sci-fi films. Obviously, I like superheroes. Aliens, yeah, they kind of go together. But this film, I just couldn't get behind it really. I felt like it was too long. I found myself again not really invested in the characters. I mean, I was invested somewhat in the brother-sister relationship, but the main guy that came out to have them help set up video cameras and stuff, yeah, he wasn't that funny. I mean, he could have done his thing and left. I felt like he wasn't needed for the rest of the movie. The big reveal, definitely an interesting look, but I felt like, again, it just didn't work for me. Now, some people will say, well, it was supposed to be thought-provoking. You didn't think about it enough. You know what? Fine, I'll agree with that. You know, maybe some movies are meant to provoke thought and really make you think about stuff, and that's fine. But for me, I could not necessarily relate to things that were happening in the film, the characters, what they were going through, and I actually forgot about this movie. This is one of the movies on my list that I completely forgot came out this year. I forgot that I'd gone to see. So that alone should tell you how much of an impression it left on me. Again, it's higher up on the list because it has some, well, it's lower on the list because it has some redeeming qualities. I guess on this list, higher isn't better. But it has some redeeming qualities, and I could watch it again compared to others. Maybe I'd get something more out of it. But I'm just not interested. And like I said, I forgot I even saw it this year. So coming in at number 9 is Nope. Whenever my wife says she wants to see a movie, I put the pressure on a lot because I love going to the movies with my wife. So if there's a movie she wants to see, I keep saying, you want to see this? You want to see this? Let's go see this. Let's go see it. Now, normally she's perfectly fine just waiting until it comes out and seeing it here at the house. And that's what happened with my number 8. This was a movie that, yeah, I probably would have seen, but it was more, I knew she would probably enjoy this film. I knew she wanted to see it. So I watched it, and yeah, it was good. Definitely had some important things to say. But again, I forgot it came out this year. And it was a straightforward story, basically. It was just not my cup of tea. It's one, like so many of these I've said, I'm glad I saw, but I'm in no rush to see it again, and I don't need to add it to my vast movie collection. And that movie, coming in at number 8, is Dog. This is a movie with Channing Tatum about a ex-special forces Marine, or, somebody in the military who has PTSD, I believe, and he's trying to get back into things, get back into the military, army, whatever he was doing. And they say to prove it, or to prove that he's good at this, he's got to take a dog to his buddy's funeral who was in charge of the dog, and if things work out, they'll decommission the dog and they'll let him back in. So you basically know what's going to happen. But it's a straightforward story. There's a lot of character growth. It is sweet. It is charming at times. But it's just not for me. I was happy I saw it. But it's not a movie that I really care too much about. Like I said, I forgot it even came out this year. But, I mean, if you're a dog person, yeah, it'll be for you. You'll love it, or you'll like it at least. And you'll probably cry at times. And yes, it does have a good message in it. But again, it's not a movie that I really need to see again. So coming in at number 8 is Dog. Coming in at number 7 is a movie all the way back from the beginning of last year, back in January of 2022. I had a pretty good feeling this movie was going to be in my worst list. Maybe I thought it might be a dishonorable mention. I'm sorry. Maybe I thought it would be, 9 or 10 or something. But the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, yeah, I don't remember anything really from it. And that movie is the 355. I liked the female cast. I thought the actresses were good. I liked an action movie. I liked the spies and the espionage. I liked that stuff. And I liked the concept here. But again, it just wasn't really executed well. I don't remember anything about it. I was like, okay, there were enjoyable moments. But I was expecting, I guess, a more hardcore action film. Full of espionage, full of spies, betraying and gadgets maybe. And, I was expecting more. And this, to me, was a light action spy thriller. I think is the best way for me to describe it. Now, I did have fun with it at times. I mean, like I said, the action was good. The performances in general were good, and I liked seeing these actresses together. But I feel like things maybe could have been made simpler. Maybe it didn't need as many characters. Whatever the case, the 355 was just not really what I was expecting. It wasn't what I wanted out of this type of film. And it left me disappointed. So that's why the 355 comes in at number 7. Coming in at number 6, I'm just going to flat out say what it is. Jackass Forever. Plain and simple. It was stupid fun. And yeah, that's exactly what you expect from these guys, from these films. But I was never really a Jackass fan. I don't remember watching the shows on MTV. I might have caught snippets of it. I did watch the movies eventually. But I feel like some people, you can hit them on the balls constantly and you'll always laugh. But for me, you do something once, yeah, you can get a chuckle out of me, or I might go, ooh, that hurt. But you do it again and again and again, you're going to lose me. Unless you do it differently somehow. And this movie, I was expecting to laugh the whole way through it. I was expecting to be, ha ha ha, the whole time. And I just wasn't. Again, another movie. Forgot it came out this year. So, yeah, I mean, did I really expect Shakespeare from this film? No. But I did expect to be entertained and laugh for most of the film, and that just did not happen for me. Again, take that with a grain of salt, considering that I was never really a fan of the series or the other Jackass films. So, that is why Jackass Forever comes in at number 6. Now, my films I had 10 through 6, I will say those were interchangeable. In general, they all had something about them that I enjoyed, and I could sit and watch them again. But I'm not dying to. But they were good enough that, for the most part, I'm glad I saw them at least once. I can understand why people would have liked them. So they're interchangeable, but I felt like I had to number them, so that was the numbering that they got. But now, 5 through my number 1 pretty much is this ranking. This is where I feel they belong. So coming in at number 5 is a movie that I was looking forward to, and movie a lot of people have, I know, lower on their list, but for me, I still enjoyed parts of it. It was within my fandom, so I can never quite say no to a fandom thing of mine. You know, superheroes can't really put it at the bottom. Star Wars really can't put it at the bottom. And I would pretty much watch these movies again. Even the worst of the worst, I would probably watch again at some point. With that being said, if you haven't figured it out, number 5 is Morbius. I was hoping this movie was going to be good. I was looking forward to it. It's a Spider-Man character. It's an unusual Spider-Man character. I heard people talking about it, and I thought, oh, that'd be cool to see. You know, they were talking about vampire hunting, though they couldn't really do Blade because Marvel has Blade. But they were talking about these different ideas, different fan theories, and I liked most of them. And it looked creepy, it looked dark, it looked cool. And then I saw it. And I was severely disappointed. Now, I don't think it's the garbage fire that so many people think it is. I mean, I thought visually how they showed his powers working, I thought that worked. I liked the look of him generally. I thought the very basic story was a good one. But they went with every cliche they possibly could, whether that was a vampire finding another vampire. And those can work. I mean, Venom has fought 2 symbiotes already. But I love those movies and they work. You have to make them unique in some way. Morbius just did not do that. Then there were plenty of other things that it did that I just couldn't get behind. Like I said, story needed to focus a little bit more. But then there were things like him being able to summon bats to him. When could he do that? I don't even think, they didn't even it just kind of happened. They didn't really give any lead into it, I feel like. And then the scene also looked like Batman Begins. And then they have the mid-credits and the post-credit scenes, which, yeah, that doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. And this is the only Marvel film so far, or Sony Marvel character, that I haven't bought the movie for. I even bought Fan 4 Stick, as we call it. Now I've gotten rid of it since, and I have the digital copy of it. But I didn't go out and buy Morbius. Part of me still feels like I should, just because I'm a completionist and I want to have all these superhero movies generally. But for me to not even want to go out and buy that movie as soon as it came out, that means this movie had to be pretty bad. So hopefully Sony steps it up with some of their other films coming out, though some of the projects they announced, it's like, why? But with that being said, that's why Morbius comes in at number 5. Coming in at number 4 is another film that I completely forgot even came out this year. And this movie should have been up my alley with forms of superpowers, but the thing was, I never read the book, never saw the original, which meant I had a clean slate going into this movie. The trailers didn't really give away anything about this movie, and to be honest, what they did tell me is basically what I remember. I don't even really remember the situations of how things happen or how this world works, and that is Firestarter. I thought this movie just looked hot, or cool, whatever you want to say. I mean, it looked like fun. I mean, I like beings with fire powers, and I mean, I love Human Torch. I like those characters. And I just thought, okay, another superpowered movie with some mystery to it, maybe a thriller type element to it. Yeah, I don't remember anything from it. I mean, I think it was secrets, like government organization was trying to find this type of gene or something within kids, and maybe it could have been related to the X gene if it was that type of idea. I mean, this person did end up killing this person, and Like, I remember the general idea of it, but I really don't remember anything else from it. I did like the effects. I liked the action. I loved the fire parts of it when this girl got mad. Oh, she got mad and did some real damage. But even with all that, I don't really remember anything from it. Like I said, forgot it even came out. At least Morbius I remembered came out. So that's why Firestarter for me comes in at number 4. Coming in at number 3, we have the only movie on this list. Yes, there are 2 that I like less than this, but we have the only movie on this list that I actually remember looking at my watch or briefly turning on my phone to see what time it was, because I just was like, oh hey, let's start getting something more with this movie. And I actually thought it was going to be an interesting idea. I was kind of interested to see where it was going. I liked the lead actress in it. I know that for a fact. And maybe that's because she's in the MCU, which that's how it is with a lot of actors, I think. But I was just disappointed. I mean, it looked good, performances were good, but when the big reveal came, I was disappointed. I thought it was going to be some big, grand thing, and to be honest, it really wasn't. It just wasn't that good. I mean, the one good thing was you really felt sorry for the lead actress. You really felt bad for Florence Pugh. And if that hasn't given away, my number 3 is Don't Worry, Darling. Yeah, there were some good performances in it. Chris Pine was good. Harry Styles was good. But I just feel like this story it didn't deliver. It didn't deliver on what the previews and the trailers, what they basically gave me. I was expecting this grand mystery that, what's really going on? What's really going on? And you get that. But without going into details, you feel like, okay, it's got to be something. But what actually happens is just, is that it? Is that what this is? Okay, I guess. I mean, yeah. If they had gone even more sci-fi with this, I would have had a better time with it, and I might have actually believed it more. But I could not get behind the ending. I couldn't get behind the reveals. I feel like I wanted more from it. You know, even maybe shorten some of the moments up a little bit, which seems to be a theme in this review. But yeah, primarily because of that ending and that reveal, Don't Worry, Darling comes in at number 3. Coming in at number 2, we have Moonfall. Plain and simple. I was going to go to the theater to see this movie, but things happened and my movie got canceled, which probably was a good thing, because by the time I watched this film here at the house, I was like, okay, it's interesting. But I was like, I don't know. I guess I just want something else about it. And I think trying to even talk about the movie is another reason why it's at the bottom of the list, because I really don't know what all to say about it. I like that Halle Berry's in it. I like that I know the guy, but I can't remember the name. You know, I like the people that are in it, and the idea is kind of neat. But it's another one that's just like, okay, it's another disaster movie. And maybe I'm not really a disaster person, like disaster type films. And that could be part of the reason why I wasn't a huge fan of this movie. But I also just felt like I didn't really care. I was waiting for that aha moment, or that we're going to do this, we're going to beat this thing, or a reveal that was really amazing and like, oh my gosh, is that what's going on? But instead it was more like, oh, is that what's going on? So yeah, Moonfall is not a movie I can recommend. There's plenty of other world-ending movies to go see. Other ones that I would probably rather watch again than this one. And they're not as sci-fi as this one is. So for me, that's why overall Moonfall comes in at number 2. And finally, we have my number 1 movie, the worst movie of the year. This movie, I regret every minute that I watched it. It was not worth my time. I should have turned it off, but I didn't. I should have left the theater, but I didn't. And that movie is Avatar: Way of Water. No, it's not. Trying to make a joke. If you've been around my channel, you understand that joke. No, for me, the worst movie of the year, hands down, no questions asked, was Paws of Fury. I had thought about seeing this animated film in theaters. It definitely felt like a Kung Fu Panda ripoff. I liked, or I wanted to hear some of the voice casting in it, because like Samuel L. Jackson's in it, Richard Gervais is in it. I like them as voice actors in comedies and things like this. And Samuel L. Jackson, I just like, period. But I didn't get around to seeing it in theaters. And I'll tell you what, it's a really good thing I did, because this movie's terrible. I like animation. I love animated films. Don't get me wrong. I will go to animated films. I will go to films that most adults my age will probably avoid. And I'll probably enjoy movies that adults my age generally won't enjoy. Or if they do, they'll only say they went to it because they have to take their kids to it. Which, that's the best way to see these types of films in general. But, that being said, yeah, I hated Paws of Fury. The story was stupid. The animation wasn't that good. The dialogue was painful. I mean, this movie was just, it might have only been like an hour and a half, an hour 45 minutes, but it was not worth my time at all. I was bored by it. I ended up actually doing stuff while I was watching this movie. And you might say, well, that means you didn't watch it. Oh no, I watched it. And I regret every minute of it, because this movie, it was just so stupid. It made no sense. Had no plots. I didn't care about the characters. I didn't care anything about what was going on. And the other thing I didn't like about it, which, as I mentioned in my review, I realized that Mel Brooks was a producer and a part writer on it, screenwriter on the film, which made total sense, because so much of this feels like Mel Brooks type film. The things he does, his fourth wall breaking, just all that stuff. And it could have worked every now and then, but it just goes too far. I do like some of Mel Brooks stuff. I have enjoyed Spaceballs. I have liked Young Frankenstein. I love the producers, especially the Broadway show. But sometimes when he misses, for me, he misses. And this was a big one. So that is why, for me, Paws of Fury, I'll just say, don't even bother watching this movie, ever. But that's why, for me, it comes in at number 1 as the worst movie of 2022. And there you have it. Those are my thoughts on the bottom of the barrel movies, in my opinion, for 2022. To go over them again, real quickly, some dishonorable mentions for me: Bullet Train, Ticket to Paradise, and Marry Me. Coming in at my number 10 was See How They Run. Coming in number 9 was Nope. Coming in number 8 was Dog. Number 7, The 355. Number 6, Jackass Forever. Number 5, Morbius. Number 4, Firestarter. Number 3, Don't Worry, Darling. Number 2, Moonfall. And number 1, Paws of Fury. I can say it right now, like I said, the upper tier, the movies that are actually higher on this list, like I said, 6 and up, you can see them once and you'll find something you'll like. But the bottom 5, I can't recommend. So, what about you? What were your worst films of 2022, or what were the ones that you just didn't like? Now, if you want, you can go ahead and do streaming movies. Put Paramount Plus on there, Disney Plus, or Hulu, or what have you, Netflix. Because if I had done that, you probably would have seen the monsters on here. Or go ahead and just do theatrical movies. Whatever the case, let me know down below, what are your least favorite movies of the past year? But we'll say you do have to look forward to. Next video, we'll talk about the best of 2022. And there definitely will be some surprises in that list. But until next time, remember, enjoy what you love, read what you love, and let's all work for a better fandom. I'll see you next time.